My hair is so wonky. I feel like my head looks oddly square today. I don't really care. I need to film this. Hey book besties, welcome back to another video. I cannot believe we're at the end of 2023 and I am filming yearly wrap-up videos. Like, mind-blowing to me, but today's video I am super excited for because we're going to be talking about the phenomenal books that I have read this year, and I'm going to be sharing my top 23 reads of 2023. So originally I was going to share like top 10 reads or share all my 4 and 5 star reads, and then I was like 23 feels like a fun, good number for a 2023 reading recap. So I went through my Goodreads and I went through my So I went through my Goodreads and my memory and I narrowed it down to my top 23 books of 2023, and I even ordered them. So we're gonna go from number 23 all the way up to my number 1 favorite book of the year. I'm gonna be giving super brief reasoning or explanation behind why I love the book so much. I don't wanna go super in depth or this video will be way too long for you to even wanna watch, I know. But I do wanna give a little bit of background of why these books made my top 23 list. We got a lot of books to cover, so let's jump right in. Starting off, number 23, I have Hello Stranger by Katherine Center. Katherine Center is one of my new favorite authors that I discovered this past year. I absolutely adore her storylines and her female main characters. I think she does a really unique job. She's similar to Abby Jimenez, I feel like, in the way that she crafts a very character-driven storyline and the romance almost seems like a secondary subplot, kind of. I don't know, Abby Jimenez and Katherine Center write my favorite female main characters, and Katherine Center specifically in this book, like I fell in love with Sadie is the main character, fell in love with her story and what she was going through, and the romance was phenomenal too, but I loved feeling like I was reading more about Sadie's personal journey and her personal story with like romance intertwined. So like I was just briefly saying, the story is about Sadie and she has face blindness, so she has a brain injury and she has surgery done on her brain where she suddenly can no longer recognize faces. So this book is really about Sadie and her story and struggling with that and like moving through the world with this new face blindness. And there's really beautiful romance like interwoven in between. Loved this book. This was a 4-star read for me. Really, really great. Katherine Center, I will definitely be reading her books from now on. Number 22 is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I don't think gets enough hype personally. I think every single Taylor Jenkins Reid book I have ever read, I've been a fan of, but this one in particular I don't think is talked about as much as some of her other ones, like Evelyn Hugo, that type of thing. So this book the plot of this book is just amazing in my opinion. This is about Emma and she marries her high school sweetheart, Jesse, I believe. Yeah, so this is about Emma and Jesse, her high school sweetheart. They're married, they're building a life together, and I think he's like a production assistant for nature documentaries. So he gets on a flight to go work and the flight goes missing and we are to assume that Jesse has passed away in the plane crash. Emma obviously is devastated, she's grieving, she is struggling with this, but further down the line she has decided to like move on and she is engaged to someone new. However, after she's engaged to somebody new, turns out Jesse's alive. She gets a phone call, he's alive, he's coming home, and he wants to pick up where they left off. I'm so sorry the lighting is changing. Washington cannot decide if it wants to be rainy or sunny today, so if you see like different lighting changes, ignore that. So basically, Emma finds herself with a husband and a fiance to no fault of her own. After going through the grieving process, feeling like she's lost her husband, he shows up. What the heck does she do? This plot is so unique, so creative, and I absolutely love Taylor Jenkins Reid writing and how she crafts her characters and her stories. Great, great book. I think I gave this 4.5 stars. Really great. Next up, I have a Childhood Friends to Lovers second chance romance that I thought was so sweet. That is The Infinity Between Us. I don't own the physical copy of this. I read it on my Kindle, but I loved this book. If you like Love in Other Words or Every Summer After, or just in general Childhood Friends to Lovers second chance romance, this book was so sweet. I honestly like this more than Every Summer After, and I don't feel like it got as much hype as Every Summer After, but the conflict in Every Summer After was not my favorite. It took it from a 5-star to like a generous 3-star for me. This book, however, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed even the conflict. Like, it wasn't a book that I feel like is mind-blowing, but it was a really enjoyable romance that I didn't expect to love so much. Another 4-star read for me. I ate this up. I think I read it in like a day or a day and a half. Super duper great. Then number 20, shifting genres a little bit, All In. This is book 3 in the Natural series. I discovered this series this year and I was mind blown. This is amazing, Yeah, you will see more of the Natural series coming up, but to give a brief overview, the Natural series is basically about 5 teenagers who are kind of recruited by the FBI because of their natural abilities. So we have 2 of them are natural profilers. One of them is like insane with math and statistics and facts. One of them can read human emotion super well, like they can just tell what anyone is feeling just by looking at them. And the 5th one is like an insane liar, like she's amazing at lying, and she can also detect lies instantly whenever someone's being dishonest. So these 5 teens are recruited by the FBI and put on cold cases. So this gives like major Criminal Minds vibes if you like Criminal Minds, but make it kind of YA. There's a love triangle. The characters, you will absolutely fall in love with every single one of them. The storyline is mind-blowing. The endings are shocking. Like everything you could want is in this book. So good. I highly recommend that series. Because of that series, I am going to read The Inheritance Games in 2024 because I fell in love with Jennifer Lynn Barnes and her writing. I said I was going to keep this short and sweet, and I'm already rambling, so we're going to pick up the pace. Number 19 was Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden's thrillers, I think, are the fastest paced thrillers that I have ever read. Every single one of her thrillers I've read in like under 3 days, most of them like within 1 day. They're the ones like you start one night and you stay up until 3 a.m. finishing them because they're quick, they are page turners, they are gripping, they are captivating, they're good. They're fast paced. Never Lie specifically though really shocked me. This is another one. I think all of Frida's books are on Kindle Unlimited because I went on a little Frida McFadden kick earlier this year and just downloaded all of them on Kindle Unlimited and binged them. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all of her books are on Kindle Unlimited if you have that. This is a great one if you're looking for a twisted, fast-paced, shocking thriller. Number 18 is another romance that I got from the library, so I don't own the physical copy, and that is 7 Days in June. This romance is beautiful. If you like second chance romance, this is one you must read. I love second chance. I think it's my favorite trope, and this was so beautifully done. I was in tears multiple times throughout the book. So good, and definitely not talked about enough in my opinion. Like I said, it's a second chance romance. There are complicated family dynamics. Both the main characters are authors. There's a single parent trope. There's like chronic illness representation. There's so much beauty in this book and so much pain, and I cannot say enough good things. I adored this book with my whole heart. Number 17 is a book that does not get the recognition it deserves. Mary Jane. This is a coming of age story that I don't think I will ever stop thinking about. I love this book so much. So this book is about Mary Jane, and she is raised in a very religious, very conservative, very like by the book, rules, guidelines, like just kind of a straight-laced family. And she gets a job as a nanny for the summer with a family that could not be more polar opposite. They are like total free spirits and just a little bit more wild and free and so much fun. And this story is about Mary Jane's kind of coming of age story as she is introduced to a lifestyle that is completely different and completely polar opposite of what she has been taught is like the right way to live. The themes in this book are amazing. The characters in this book are phenomenal. I love this book so much, and I'm not really a YA person. Coming of age stories normally don't stick with me. This one was so good. Number 16, I have Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, and I have to admit, this is book 3 in a series, and I didn't know it was book 3 in a series. I think it's in the Friend Zone series. I have yet to read book 1 and 2. They are on my TBR. I own both of them, but whoops, I accidentally read book 3 first. However, I loved it. This book is actually about a YouTuber, and I love that. The influencer trope can be really cringy, but in this one, I think it was done really well. And I love the way Abby Jimenez, similar to Catherine Center, covers a lot of really deep, meaningful, hard topics in her books in a way that still feels like lighthearted romance. The balance and the contrast between the two is done so beautifully. I love it. This is a must read in my opinion. I really enjoyed this one. But maybe start at the beginning of the series and don't make the same mistake that I did. Okay, don't mind me. I had to pause and like make sure I was filming this right because I have filmed so many freaking videos on this camera in like half speed, like 0.5 speed, and that takes the sound out of it, so like they can't even be recovered at that point. So we just had to check. Anxiety got the best of me, but we're good. Moving right along, number 15 is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I love this thriller. I was shook. This book is the first Alice Feeney that I ever read, and to this day it's my favorite Alice Feeney. I have never been so caught off guard by a thriller, I don't think. Like, This book really wowed me. Ironically, this is another book that deals with face blindness, and I feel like that's kind of a unique topic to cover, but 2 of the books in my top 23 books have dealing with the topic of face blindness. However, to give a brief summary of this is about a couple that like wins a weekend getaway to, I think it's like the Scottish countryside in like a secluded cabin, and they have lives between them. Mr. Wright, the husband of the couple, has face blindness, so he can't recognize people. There's a weird third point of view with someone named Robin that we don't know who the heck Robin is. She just kind of is like watching them, which is weird. So alternating points of view, they can't trust each other. There are lies between the couples. There's someone watching them. Creepy things keep happening. They're in a secluded house in the middle of nowhere. Creepy. It's creepy. It's so creepy. This is one of the only thrillers that had me like feeling like I need to shut my blinds and like literally was like jumping at sounds as I was reading it because it was like that twisted and got in my head that much, which is why I loved it. Great thriller. Number 14, we have my favorite Catherine Center book, and that is How to Walk Away. I have no words for this one. This book blew me away. This is what really sold me on Catherine Center. My first book by her was The Bodyguard, which I enjoyed, but not like super duper enjoyed. And then I read this one. I loved it. This sold me 100%. Chef's kiss. You have to read this one. That's really all I have to say. Another great strong female lead that really just follows her story with the most beautiful romance subplots. Chef's kiss. Number 13 is Archer's Voice, and I read this at the very start of the year. And to be fair, I'm not sure I would still give this book 5 stars, but when I did read it, I did give it 5 stars. I thought it was really sweet. I really like this book. This book is super duper popular, I know, and I actually learned by posting about this on TikTok that it's a very unpopular opinion to give this book 5 stars. I got a lot of people very angry with me that I gave this book 5 stars. But if you are unfamiliar with this book, small town, Grumpy Sunshine, but Grumpy Sunshine done well, in my opinion. I am not a Grumpy Sunshine person when the guy is too gruff, but I think this one was done really well. There's a lot of found family. The romance in this book is really sweet. It is pretty smutty, so beware if you're not a fan of spice, you probably won't like this book, but I thought it was a really sweet story, and when I read it, I gave it 5 stars. Would I still give it 5 stars? Probably would be closer in the 4-star range, to be fair, but I still love this book. Number 13 on my list for sure. Number 12 is another Taylor Jenkins read, and that is After I Do. This is another one by her that I don't think is talked about enough. I love the characters in this book, and I love the messages in this book. This is about Lauren and Ryan, and their marriage is kind of starting to go south, and so they make a unconventional agreement to basically have a trial breakup. So they split up, they decide to not live together anymore, and there are no rules, like they can date other people, they can do whatever they want. The only rule is that they can't contact each other through their trial breakup. So this is about like, do they miss each other? Do they miss the things that they used to hate about each other? Do they learn that they like their independence better? Have they fallen out of love? This really brings into question like themes of the meaning of marriage, the meaning of relationship, the power of relationships outside of romantic relationships. Like the family dynamics in this book are amazing. Wow. This is another book that I think covers so many deep, important themes and topics in a rom-com style, but the meaning is so deep, you know? I really resonated with the sister in this book. She's like not really in the dating scene. She has a lot of pressure put on her to like be dating and to fall in love and to find the husband and do the like right next steps for her life. But she's like, that's really not what is fulfilling to me right now. And I really resonated with her. I feel like that is not often represented, especially in romance books. It's all about like the marriage and the kids and the romance and all the things. And so to have a character that you can resonate so deeply with, that is like, actually, I'm more fulfilled by like different things at this phase of life. That felt really cool to me and really empowering to me, not something you see very often. I love this book. Number 11 is Addicted After All. This is the final book in the Addicted series, technically. So I'm gonna try to explain this the best I can. I have a full breakdown about this series on my TikTok, but the Addicted series is basically interconnected with the Calloway Sister series. So you read like the first 3 Addicted books, I believe, then you intersperse Calloway Sister books. There's a whole reading order. But this is technically the last book in the Addicted portion of the series, which follows Lily and Lo. She's a sex addict, he's an alcoholic, and they started off as friends that were fake dating to lie to their families and enable each other's addictions, which sounds really crappy. And I wasn't a big fan of the first couple books for that exact reason. I was like, I don't know that I love this messaging. But believe me when I say you will fall head over heels in love with Lily and Lo and their story And once you start meeting their family and the other characters in like the Calloway sister books, oh my gosh, this is my favorite series of all time. You will see multiple books from this series coming up, but this final book in the Addicted series, my whole heart. I love Lily and Lo until the end of time. This book was beautiful. Amazing, 5 stars. Book 10 is actually book 2 in the Natural series that I was talking about earlier, so we can go quickly over this one. I love this book so much. I would say this book is more character driven. I love this book more because of the characters, less because of the plot, but still was amazing. It had me shocked at the end. I fell in love even deeper with all 5 of the naturals that I was telling you about earlier. Amazing, amazing book. You have to read this series. Enough said. Number 9, another Taylor Jenkins read, Daisy Jones and the Six. I loved this book, but hear me out when I say I almost DNF'd this book because I hated it so much at the beginning. I posted about this one on TikTok as well, and there were so many people like, DNF'd this book at 50%, worst book ever, and I'm like, that's the thing. Like, it's one of those where I was with you because I hated, it's like written in interview style, so it's like literally Graham like with his quote, Karen with her quote. Like, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, but it's really hard to make that mindset shift. It's really difficult. However, I pushed through and I was really trying to keep track of all the characters. There are a lot of characters thrown at you at the beginning. It's all just overwhelming. The weird format, the lots of characters, it's easy to get turned off of this book and be like, nope, not for me, I'm gonna DNF it. But I stuck with it, and I am so glad I did. Was sobbing at the end. The TV show came out for the show this past year, and it is amazingly well done. Highly recommend reading the book first and then watching the show. I love these characters. I really do. I love Daisy. Yeah, it's a great book in my opinion. It was a 5-star read for me. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This was really my year of Taylor Jenkins read. I read so many of her books and I love them all. Number 7 is actually part of that Calloway sister series I was talking about that is interconnected with the Addicted series, and that is the first book of Reich and Daisy, who is a couple in that series. There are 3 main couples. They are one of them. Lily and Lo are another. Very confusing if you haven't read it, I know, but it is so worth it. If you take away one thing from this video, please let it be that you need to read the Addicted Calloway series. Anyways, this is the first full book dedicated to Reich and Daisy's story. I love this book. Reich is the ultimate book boyfriend for me. He is my favorite book boy of all time. Daisy is probably my favorite book character of all time. So the 2 of them together, I love it. I love it so much. Daisy is strong and fierce and independent, but also beautifully soft and gentle as well. And Reich is like gruff and hard and stoic, but also a softie on the inside. I don't know. They are so complex. They are so beautiful. And then you put them together in their story together. I could cry thinking about it. I love this book. Next, I have another book that's in the middle of a series, and that is Ignite Me. This is book 3, I believe, in the Shatter Me series. And this is the only book of that entire series that was a 5-star for me. But I honestly love this book, and I feel like this book alone kind of made the whole series worth it for me. Shatter Me, book 1, I did not love. I gave it 3 stars. And I think the final 2 books in that series, I gave 3 stars as well. So really not my favorites, but Ignite Me blew me away. It's like those middle 3 books that are just so good. This is a dystopian fantasy series. So if you like dystopian, like Hunger Games is dystopian, that type of vibe, you will definitely like this. Lots of politics in here, and it's good. It's an intense story. You will fall in love with the characters, I will say that. I have such strong connections and feelings to the characters in this series, and this book in particular blew me away. 5 stars. Number 5 on my list, book 1 in the Natural series. So 3 of the 4 books made my top 23 list, and this one most of all. I was wowed by this book. This series started off with a bang. I read this so quickly, I could not put it down. Even though it's YA, I'm not normally a YA person, like I said, but this series is phenomenal. Oh my God, there's someone walking outside of my window right now, and she was literally my AP Calculus sub through high school. Yep, I know her, and she's watching me with a ring light film my videos. Sweet. All right, so my 4th favorite book this year is A Long Way Down, and this is the 2nd Reich and Daisy book in the Calloway Sister series. And this book just, I have no words. I really have no words. Reich and Daisy, all the things I was just describing to you with Hot House Flower. Yes, I love them so much. They're my favorite book couple. He's my favorite book boyfriend. She's my favorite book character. They can do no wrong. I love this book. I love this series. Like I said, if you take one thing away from this video, please let it be that you should read the Addicted Calloway Sister series. It is a 10-book series. It is a very long series, and it is so worth it, in my opinion. Favorite series of all time. Coming in at number 3, I have the 7-Year Split by Ashley Poston, and this book led me to Ashley Poston, and she's actually one of my new like auto-buy authors. Like, I love her writing. Her writing is almost poetic. Like, the way she describes things, the way she forms sentences, literally feels like poetry sometimes. Like, I was annotating the crap out of this book just because her lines are beautiful. Let me read you this, like you're gonna relate to this. I loved how a book, a story, a set of words, and a sentence organized in the exact right order made you miss places you've never visited and people you've never met. Yes, yes, 6 stars. I love this story. I love her writing. I love the quotes. I love the romance. I love the plot. I love the fantastical, whimsical elements. I have talked about this book, it feels like 13 million thousand gazillion times on TikTok, and about half that amount here on YouTube as well. So you've heard about this book if you follow me on any platform whatsoever. Amazing. Yes, 6 stars. I cried. Is it just me, or if like a book makes you cry, it's automatically a 4 or 5 star? That's how I feel. My second favorite book of the year, yours truly, by Abby Jimenez. If you know, you know. The anxiety representation in this book is the most honest, pure, genuine representation of anxiety I have ever seen. I felt so seen. I felt so understood. Wow. Not to mention the romance in this book is the most heartwarming, beautiful romance. If you need your faith restored, that true love exists, you need to read this book. If you have anxiety, you need to read this book. If you like romance, you need to read this book. I have no words. This is my favorite Abby Jimenez book and one of my favorite romances of all time. So beautiful. Protect Jacob at all costs. He is the ultimate golden retriever boyfriend. Amazing. I love him. All right, you guys, I have a very strong feeling you are not going to be surprised by this. My number 1 favorite book of 2023 is, drumroll please, Some Kind of Perfect. Literally, if I sit and think about this book, I will cry. I'm not even joking you. This is the 10th and final book in the Addicted Calloway Sister series. It is a thick, thick book, and it is my favorite book of all time. So this is the epilogue novel, and it is the only book in the Addicted Calloway Sister series that has the points of view of all main 6 characters. So essentially, this series covers 3 main couples. So we have Lily and Lo of the Addicted series. We have Reich and Daisy, which you've heard me talk about with my 2 favorites mentioned already. And then we have Rose and Connor, who are also just amazing. And this is the final book in the Addicted Calloway Sister crossover series. Epilogue novel, the rest of their lives, like it goes further in time, jumps into the future, and is alternating points of view of all 6 of them. Which the length of this book might sound overwhelming, 6 points of view might sound overwhelming, but please believe me when I tell you, you are going to fall so deeply in love with all 6 of these characters that you're gonna eat this up. This is the longest book that I read this year, and it's also one of the books I read the fastest this year. And I feel like that tells you all you need to know. I literally could cry thinking about this book. My favorite book of all time. Favorite series, favorite book, favorite characters, favorite book boyfriend. Yes. Favorite dynamics. Amazing. All right, book besties, the sun is like officially set, so the lighting is probably just getting more and more weird here. So we're gonna wrap it up. Those are my top 23 books of 2023. Please leave a comment down below telling me your top 3 books of the year, your top book of the year, whatever you really have like solid. I know it is so hard to pick one, but comment below some of your favorite reads of the year because I am rapidly building out my 2024 TBR and I need your help. But like I said, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for sticking around with me through a phenomenal year of reading. 2023 was the year I started my book talk, started my bookstagram, started my booktube, all the things, and it has just been the most pure and glorious and beautiful year of reading. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful you're here, and I cannot wait to take on all the books in 2024 with ya. Make sure you're subscribed so you stick around for another year of reading, and I will catch you in future videos. Bye, book besties.